Well, that video is called The Power of One. The power of a single life, the power from any individual to radically change their world. I want to put a quote up on the screen this morning, and it's this: the individual activity of one person with a backbone will do more than 1,000 people with a wishbone. It's a great quote. The individual activity of one person with a backbone will do more than 1,000 people with a wishbone. The difference that one single person can make through their actions and through their choices can spread further than they ever imagined, ripple out into the lives of others who they never thought it would touch. I mean, think of Joseph. He saved his entire family from extinction, and he fulfilled the promise of God, continued the promise of God given to Abraham. You think of Moses, who walked away from fame and fortune as an Egyptian prince to lead the nation Israel out of bondage and slavery into a promised land. Think of Esther, the right woman, the right place, the right time. She had saved the entire Jewish race from that were exiled in Persia, who were going to be put to death. And she did it with one courageous act. Abraham Lincoln, on January 1st, 1863, gave the Emancipation Proclamation, and from that 3.5 million slaves were freed. This man here, Nicholas Winton, a British stockbroker who never trained, never experienced, but had the right heart, helped rescue 669 children from the horrors of the Holocaust. Now, this is a name that you probably have never heard before. This is a picture of Dathrath Mange. His wife died due to a fall down the side of a mountain in 1959. But it wasn't just the fall that led to her death. It was the distance it was to the local hospital. It was a distance of 55 miles because you had to go around a mountain. And as a result of her death, Dathrath sold his goats, got rid of his farm. He bought one chisel and one hammer, and for the next 22 years, worked tirelessly every day, creating a passageway from his little village to the nearest hospital. When he had finished, he had carved out in the mountain a passageway 360 feet in length, 30 feet wide, 25 feet high, and shortened the trip to the hospital from 45 to 4 miles, subsequently saving many more lives. There is significant power in one person to change the world for good. However, as one person can change the world for good, also one person can change the world for evil. Adolf Hitler, responsible for 6 million Jews during the death of 6 million Jews during the Holocaust. Joseph Stalin is said to be responsible for at least 20 million Russian deaths during his rule. Pol Pot, the head of the Khmer Rouge, was responsible for the death of 2 million people through starvation and genocide. You see, the ripple of one single act of goodness can impact the lives of so many, but so can the single act of evil. And that's the thrust of this passage that we're going to dig through today. So if you have a Bible, a tablet, your phone, whatever you turn to look up Bible stuff, turn to Romans 5:12-21. And in this section, Paul is comparing two men, what they did or they didn't do, and the impact that each of them, by one single act, did to impact so much of humanity. The difference between the single deed of the first man and the single deed of the second was so radically different. They were polar opposites, but they made a significant difference to this world. One negatively affected all of humanity, the other positively affected all of humanity. And according to Paul, the story of all human history can be told through the story of two Adams, A-D-A-M-S.